20 on me, case emergency. Ain't no cap in my rap. Real I know it's the truck. More profit mean extra. Emerald white out full of pressure. That cereal milk smoking right. But that Obama rent some special. Kansas City, I'm a chief. Shout out to K5 on new one. Country thuggin', I was hustling. I always had it on me. Booming like OJ the Juice. Till a nigga told on me. From now on, it's relentless. Ain't no love, we ain't friendly. If she want me on him. No the law, she get the business. No the law, still the motto. Empire.
Hello. Welcome in. This is the Birds of a Feather podcast with your boy Q City. We're going to look at the round 2 pick, Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. We're going to look at the round 3 one, Zach Harrison out of Ohio State. We'll see what's happening in the division, and then we'll look ahead through rounds 4 to 7 to find out what we're doing today. So come along with me. Enjoy this ride. All right, so I'm not going to lie to you. When I first saw the pick, I was extremely disappointed. I'm like, yo, we're trading up again. I overreacted on Facebook. I was like, well, we've invested 7 picks in this regime to the interior offensive line, right? And so I'm really like, yo, we're just missing after missing. Calm down, looked at it. All right, so we switched 2s and gave up a 4, right? That kind of messes with our fluidity in this draft in particular, but we have 2 4s next year because of the Calvin Ridley trade. So it's kind of a wash there, right? And then next year's picks are always devalued. Told you about the chart yesterday. So the one I was in reference to was Jalen Mayfield, right? We did trade up for Mayfield, use a 3rd round pick on him. He's terrible, right? He is not good, and you need competition for him. This was the pick to go ahead and say, hey, we missed. You know what I'm saying? And you could be upset about it like I was at first, but a team recognizing their misses is one of the smartest things. It shows smart organizational skill, right? Because people hold on to picks way longer than they should have. Jalen Mayfield was a 3rd round pick out of Michigan, super young, super unrefined. They were like, we're going to try with him. We're going to work with him. 2 years in, they're understanding, hey, he's not it. I think he was out of the 81 interior linemen, he was like 64 or 75 at one point the last season. Out of that same type of line mindset, you got McGarry. McGarry's good. You know what I'm saying? And then another thing about Bergeron, which I didn't exactly know, is that he could play swing tackle. You know what I'm saying? So you're solidifying the right side of your line, but you can also, if the time rises that Matthews is going ahead and getting long in the tooth, going to retire and whatnot, you have someone to slide into that tackle spot. And Matthews has been hurt. So, he's extremely durable in the sense that he can play games, but there's been multiple times in the season where he isn't 100%. You see a clear draft philosophy, right? Where it's, okay, we're getting a dynamic running back, and then we're going to get somebody to beef up that interior line so that a lot of these zone powers, a lot of these straight up the gut plays, they're going to be able to move. And so I was upset at first, but I can live with the pick. Right? I wasn't really ecstatic about the idea that giving up that 4th, knowing that we don't have a 5 or 6 in this draft, is kind of like, yo, you're really pigeonholing yourself. And you had 2 4s. And my thinking was you were going to parlay the second 4 into a 5 or a 6. You know what I'm saying? Because as it stands right now, you're so untuned for the draft. Unless you're going to look to get an immediate return on the Calvin Ridley pick by trading your 4 next year, you're really not going to be a factor in day 2 today at all. You know what I'm saying? But you saw your guy, you identified him, you wanted to go get him. I'm willing to give it a chance. And I feel as though what this pick in particular solidified is that they understood they're officially on the hot seat. Like, to hell with the future picks, because I might not be here if I don't make sure that my team is in the best position to win today. 7-win seasons back to back. The NFL stands for not for long. You know what I'm saying? And we can sugarcoat it how we want to, that we were, in the hunt for the division last year. We still won 7 games, right? Like it is more than time to go ahead and be pushing toward, at minimum, a 9-win season. Preferably double digits, but at minimum a 9-win season. That could be a lot for a team, but like this coaching staff has been together for 3 years. This front office has been there for 3 years. It is absolutely necessary that this team starts moving in the right direction. So, and I felt as though, especially with like the linebackers and the edge that were on the board at that time, what they were really saying is that, like, hey, we think we're good on defense. We spent a lot of money on defense this past year through free agency, and we ain't spending nothing extra in terms of high value and picks. I really understood. It really feels as though they understand positional value outside of the first round, right? My thoughts on Bijan yesterday, but this really is like, hey, you identified a guy. There wasn't a run on tackles at any point, but immediately after them, the Saints and the Panthers picked, and then the pick after that, there was a trade out. So it seems as though, and that was what, pick 41? The Falcons initially drafted at 44. So they identified that, like, hey, it could have been something that it could have been to where the guy wasn't there. So I understand it. Maybe not necessarily agree with it, but I like the fact that there was a pivot. I like the fact that they identified, hey, we whiffed on it, and they're making right on it. All right, round 3. So they picked this kid, Zach Harrison, out of Ohio State. I'm not gonna lie to you, I had no idea who this cat was. I wasn't tunely locked into it. When I went and looked at his grades, there was a bunch of like low 3, high 4 round grades on him, and then there was like one outlier that had him as a low 2. So it's looking like pick 75 might have been just right around the time, maybe a little high, but knowing your draft board, knowing that you don't have many picks left and whatnot, it seems as though they were kind of the mindset, hey, let's go ahead and get this pass rushers. The measurables are off the chain. 6'5", 275, long arms, fast, quick. The only thing that concerns me, very low production. Stayed in school for 4 years, played all 4 years, had about 18 tackles for loss and 11 sacks, but they're registered up to 13. The main thing that I like about him is this was kind of like an arrogant pick. So he stayed all 4 years, only 21, right? Doesn't turn 22 until next year after actually graduated at 17. So he is actually very much a future pick. He is a pick that, like, Calais Campbell is going to come in. He's going to be holding down that starting spot this year. This cat's going to be a rotational player. And like round 3, you're going to be a future starter on this team. If things go well, you apply yourself, all that good stuff. And that kind of has me thinking that even though they understand the urgency of this year in this draft, they're still operating under the mindset that, like, hey, we're going to be here next year. You know what I'm saying? We're going to pick guys that are going to fit into our long-term developmental plan, right? So they're not panicking, even though they understand the urgency of this year's draft. And that's not a bad thing. It doesn't make me feel as though they're in a position to where they're going to straight up like determine the future by trying to overcompensate for the fact that they missed on picks or that they've had a bad team for a couple years. So when I look at it, I'm very excited that they decided to address something defensively through the draft, because in free agency, it's like a 30% hit rate, right? 33%, basically 1 out of 3 hit. And so you can't expect all your free agents to just be massive hits. You got to build through the draft as well. And so when you see that, I'm really excited, right? I don't know if we'll be able to actually see this guy play meaningful this year. But one of the things that I really, really liked, so he had, I think it was 7 forced fumbles over the course of his career. 5 came through his senior season. He had 2.5 sacks his first year, 2.5 his second year, 2.5 his third year, 4.5 last year, right? So, like, very consistent production and whatever. it looks as though he's starting to put it together. So like leaving his junior year, he wouldn't have been an NFL player. Leaving his senior year, he's a day 3 draft pick. Like, had something happen and he had the red shirt, it really leads me to believe that, like, yo, he might have been a second round or a late first round pick next year. So that goes to say, like, okay, he's putting it together, right? And his best football may be in front of him. Still a young cat. So I'm very, very like encouraged by that. And I can't wait to actually see him play this year. Hey you guys, it's your boy Q City. As you know, I love Atlanta. Its teams, its venues, but more importantly, its culture creators. 15, XV like the Roman numeral, is a brand line dedicated to capturing the essence of the city. Their gifted artists have clothing that not only show their support for the thriving Atlanta teams, but also show their true talent. Black created, owned, and operated, 15 has a special offer for Birds of a Feather listeners. Go to 15.weebly.com and type in promo code QCity15 to get 15% off on your first order. That's QCITY15 for 15% off on your first order. 15 FIFTXVN.weebly.com. Excellence is waiting for you. All right, now if you look through the division, right? First team, you got Carolina. They chose Jonathan Mingo in the second, right? So they traded DJ Moore to go ahead and move up to 1 to get their quarterback. All right, let's go ahead and start to replace some of those weapons, right? So they got Jonathan Mingo. They got Ole Miss, I think it was. It seems like their team building is kind of like, we have a decent defense. Let's go ahead and get the offense and get the team going in the right direction that it needs to go, right? Now, their third round pick, DJ Johnson, D end, that seems to be like a rotational piece. That seems to be a depth piece. They're going to pay Brian Burns a shit ton of money. So, like, no one's really worried about that one. But it just seems to go like, when you don't know exactly where to go offensive or defensively, you go ahead and go on the line. I was very, very surprised that Carolina didn't try to get a running back at any point in time. I'm not exactly tuned in to see who exactly was available on the board in the third round like that. I know there was only like 4 elite prospects at running back, and all 4 were pretty much gone by the start of the third round. So I'm not surprised that they didn't reach for a running back, but I am very surprised that like they didn't try to trade back, trade down, or anything like that. In fact, they traded up to get DJ Johnson. So, you know, we'll see. We'll move forward and see exactly how they're thinking and filling out their draft board. But they have like 3 picks left. So this should be interesting day 3 for Carolina. Tampa, right? So Tampa got Yaya Diarby, the DN out of Louisville, in round 3. It just seemed like a one once again line pick. Go ahead and get some depth. Villa is getting a little old. They've got to rebuild that front 7, especially if Devin White leaves. Like, it doesn't look like they're getting anything done. Usually, deals are either made through trade or through, you know, filling out the contract during the draft time. So then they traded up in the second round to get the offensive tackle out of, where is it at? The offensive tackle out of North Dakota State, Cody Mosh, whatever that is. Point of the thing is, swing tackle, can play inside. They traded up to get him. They are really beefing that offensive line, right? They've invested a lot in it. So yesterday, if you remember, they got a D tackle. Today, they got a D end and an offensive lineman. This team is building itself to pound the rock, run the ball, and stop you from running the ball. That's once again playing towards their division, right? I am just like, I'm really, really liking their team building style right now. Then we go to the Aints, right? So they got Isaiah Fauske, the DN out of Notre Dame. Actually, the person I expected the Falcons to pick instead of Matthew Bergeron when they went up, either him or the linebacker. But the Saints got him. And then in the third round, they went running back, the Keandre Miller. So it looks as though they're very big on building their D line back up, right? Because we stole one of their guys away from them. They went D tackle yesterday, D in today, and then running back in the third round. That was kind of surprising. I don't feel like Kamara's fallen off a cliff or anything like that. Mark Ingram's done, right? So you do need to fit that production. But yeah, they were ready to go ahead and kind of flip the page. They've always been big on running back tandems, but that's with Sean Payton. I really don't know Dennis Allen's philosophy, strictly because they've never really had a true quarterback to evaluate, right? So building out their draft board, it looks as though they're going to try to stop the run, right? Build the lineup. And when I looked at Keandre, he seems to be kind of like an Alvin Kamara clone in the sense of like pass catching. So I'm not exactly sure if their whole philosophy is to just spread out, throw the ball, use screens and like screens, draws out the backfield as extension of the run play, or if their whole philosophy is, we're just going to go 5 wide and throw it all over the field. It should be pretty interesting, and we'll see how they round out for the rest of day 3. All right, so rounds 4 through 7. I would love to take a flyer on a wide receiver in round 4, depending on who's left. We still got the Tennessee pick from the Julio trade. I would love some corner depth and just line play, offensive and defensive. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to get a guy late. If I'm going line play super late, like round 7, I'm going defensive. We got 1-4, like I said, from the Julio trade, and then we got 2 7s. One of them was from the Bills, I think. Somebody went to the Bills. Point is, we are not factors at all. 3 picks in the last 4 rounds, and no compensaries. It's gonna be tough to be movers and shakers. Now, we have the ability to mortgage tomorrow for today. It is there, right? I just don't think it's the best move. We have our 4th round pick from the Calvin Ridley trade, and then we have our 6th round pick from the Deion Jones trade for Cleveland. We could move either one of those picks to move into this year's draft, but I feel like the only reason you do that is if you're exclusively targeting somebody who is dropped just drastically. Not gonna lie. Ringo. Once again, I am a Hurricane fan. I'm not a Bulldog fan. But Keely Ringo was a 5-star prospect coming out of school. He had a 1st-round grade on him for the longest. He's gotten some trouble. His measurables weren't great. Whatever. If he's there in round like 6, I wouldn't be opposed to trading a 7 and a 6 next year to go ahead and move up and get him. Maybe even at the end of round 5. So, headed out there today. Once again, live from KC. I'm gonna check it out. The draft has been like a super cool experience. I came out here more so as a business trip. I'm definitely gonna bring the fellas or the fam next year. I'm not really sure, but it's a great environment. So whatever city it's in next year, I'm definitely coming out. Follow me at QCity11 on Twitter and Instagram, and then please go like and subscribe the podcast. Like and subscribe Gnome Productions, Good Noise on My Ears on YouTube. That's GNOME Productions at YouTube, and I won't hear from y'all. Y'all will hear from me. Y'all will hear from me again at the end of day 3. All right, catch you later.
Looking like I hit the lotto. I want a hottie like mulatto. I'm on here and she on Moscato. I'm in them good till tomorrow. I'm a robber for the Neros. Your little loss, I'ma put you on payroll. You smell that aroma? Design the air, it's a party here. Papa Corona, she moving her body, she working them heels. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20 on me, case emergency. I wake up early every morning. Thank the Lord and get the bag. Hustle hard, get the cash. Stack first, then I'm showing my ass. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. I don't believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20 on me, case emergency.
My babies, that's who I grind for. That's who I do it for. Like the Navy, that's who I'm toting that iron for. Keep one in the head like a thought, nigga. Yeah, I fuck with Ty, he a boss, nigga. Foot on their neck, I exhaust, nigga. Niggas cross me, so I cross, nigga. Them stripper was lit last night. 500, what it cost, nigga. Shit was really legit last night. Had them hoes at the house, nigga. Instagram, Snapchat, Triller. What they say about Jay, he a go-getter. Used to have them fat sacks in the grove, nigga. Late nights, early morning, my dough, nigga.
You smell that aroma? Design the air, it's a party in here. Papa Corona, she moving the body, she working them heels. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20